Goats are already impressive animals, agile, intelligent, and adaptable. But what if, over millions of years, goats kept evolving, driven by bizarre environmental pressures, strange mutations, and chaotic events? What if, instead of becoming better at grazing or avoiding predators, goats evolved to headbutt cars, grapple helicopters with their tongues, and casually shrug off explosions? What would that lineage look like? Today, we're exploring the evolutionary biology of Pilgor, the goat simulator goat. What adaptive traits would a modern goat need to evolve to become a backflipping, tongue-lashing, explosion-proof beast of mayhem? Because why study real animals when you can scientifically overanalyze a fictional, digital goat? Let's begin. Our modern goat is descended from wild goats that live in rocky, mountainous terrain. They already possess extreme agility, split hooves with rubbery traction, remarkable stability on uneven ground, and shock-absorbing skulls for headbutting. They're pre-adapted for intense physical feats, so for our hypothetical scenario, evolution doesn't actually need to start from scratch, just go further along a certain trajectory. So what could drive this further evolution? So, let's imagine a bizarre environment, an unstable post-industrial ecosystem with frequent explosions, erratic gravity, and extreme vertical architecture. In this environment, only goats capable of reacting fast, jumping high, navigating unpredictable events, leaping between collapsing structures, and withstanding concussive force would survive. And this would create directional selection for traits such as elastic tendons, neurological shock resistance, extreme environmental awareness, fire resistance, and faster reflexes. Our evolving goat lineage develops hyperelastic musculature. A mutation in myosin expression allows for rapid contraction and coiled energy storage, similar to what we see in frogs or mantis shrimps. The tendons evolve like biological springs, storing and releasing force for wall flips, mid-air corrections, and bouncy landings. Our goat can now flip, bounce, and launch itself absurd distances without tearing its knees in half. And its cerebellum expands to handle all that acrobatic data, refining reflexes and spatial processing to survive in these gravity-defying habitats. So modern goats already headbutt things, mostly other goats, occasionally fences, but with enough force to launch a human, they're not really quite there yet. In our hypothetical scenario, this originally social adaptation becomes a full-blown offensive trait. Over generations, the goats evolve extra dense cranial bones, shock-absorbing sinuses, fusion of cervical vertebrae for spinal reinforcement, and neck muscles capable of withstanding extreme whiplash. And the result would be a biological battering ram that could launch predators, vending machines, or unlucky pedestrians. Those who weaponized their skulls survived, and the rest sadly didn't, creating a lineage of goats with super reinforced skulls. In Goat Simulator, initially the tongue seems like a pretty bizarre, high-powered tool. But if we approach it biologically, we could say that perhaps a rare mutation affecting salivary gland secretions and hyoid bone flexibility gives rise to a prehensile ballistic tongue. And this tongue launches outwards like a chameleon, has sticky papillae similar to those of frogs, gains precise motor control through modified cranial nerve pathways. And this adaptation could be used for grabbing objects at a distance, stabilizing during leaps or awkward landings, and opportunistically snatching food or tools. And in our absurd environment, this adaptation becomes a clear advantage. Pilgor is able to survive and recover quickly from spontaneous explosions, and this takes more than just quick reflexes. Our goat lineage evolves enhanced expression of HSP70. These are heat shock proteins that help repair cellular damage. It also evolves reinforced dermal layers, which are reminiscent of a rhino's natural armour, and fluid-filled microchambers beneath the skin, which are able to absorb and diffuse shockwaves. This means the goat can plummet from skyscrapers with minimal injury, brush off fiery blasts like minor inconveniences, and bounce off solid objects at high speed without sustaining damage. So we've looked at the physical adaptations of our goat lineage. But now let's think about their brains. Modern goats are very social animals. They live in structured herds, they form long-term bonds, groom each other, and even call out when separated. And isolation can actually cause them stress. They rely on social cues to stay safe, find food, and avoid predators. But Pilgor, she's a loner. No herd, no friends, ignores other goats, destroys public property, and seems completely unfazed by being the only sentient creature in the collapsing neighbourhood. In gameplay terms, there's no herd dynamics or social bonding mechanics. No non-violent behavioural displays towards other goats, aside from intentionally spawning them. It interacts destructively with humans, objects, and other animals. Some multiplayer modes or expansions let you play alongside other goats, but that's not really a social structure. So how could this solitary behaviour have evolved? So in our speculative goat lineage, natural selection begins to favour asocial traits. Maybe the herds could have attracted more predators, or social bonds become liabilities in an unpredictable world. Or even lone goats may simply have survived better, navigating the hazards without waiting for the group. And then over time, the parts of the goat brain responsible for social bonding, empathy, and herd following atrophied, leaving a hyper-independent goat with zero need for communal living. So, what would it take for a goat like Pilgor to evolve? For a normal modern goat to become Pilgor, it would need millions of years of mutation and some unpredictable environment-based selective pressure. However, biologically, it is just extreme versions of things that already do exist, such as chameleon tongues, the mantis shrimp muscle recoil, goats' reinforced skulls, and their extreme agility. So technically yes, evolution could produce the goat simulator goat. But should it? No, absolutely not. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing, and you can support the channel through buymeacoffee.com, link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.